Some stories just make me wonder, is this the world's worst criminal? Security systems are all around us to help us feel safe. But do they actually work in preventing crime? In October of 2015, several security systems would be tested, with one showing a critical flaw and a young woman's life being senselessly taken. Sasha Samsami was a vibrant 27-year-old with a contagious smile. She worked for an online real estate company and described herself as the Cupid of apartment hunting. Her bio even noted, "It's really easy for me to match renters with their perfect home." Sasha thought she had done the same for herself, picking out her home at the Uptown Place condominiums in downtown Orlando, Florida. The complex boasted numerous security features that could help ease the mind of a young woman who was living alone. Video cameras monitored the entrances and exits 24 hours a day. Digital locks were featured on each individual unit, tracking entrances and exits, and there was even a security guard on site. She had gone out with some of her friends to enjoy some drinks, and after visiting several bars and clubs, she walked back to her apartment. She was last seen on surveillance footage around 1:45 a.m. entering the lobby. Unfortunately, there were no cameras filming the hallway where the door to her unit actually was, a detail that might have been noticed by the person who took her life. Sasha was supposed to have breakfast with a friend the following morning, but she didn't show up. Being someone very active on social media, her friends reached out to her, but they got no response at all. 3 of her friends decided to go to Sasha's home and check on her, and that's when they saw the first signs of concern. They noticed Sasha's vehicle was at the complex, and a gift that she was supposed to bring to a baby shower scheduled later that day was sitting inside the car. With there being no answer from her when they tried her unit, one of the friends, a man named Anthony Roper, decided it was time to call the police. Officers arrived and arranged with the landlord to enter Sasha's unit. As soon as they walked in, the police officers noticed the strong scent of bleach. By first appearances, nothing else seemed out of place, except for the toilet seat being up. A bit strange for the home of a single woman. They entered her bedroom and noticed a tuft of hair sticking out from under her blankets. They pulled back the covers to find Sasha's lifeless body. A later medical examination would discover severe trauma on several parts of her body, including signs of physical restraint and the most severe neck fracture that the medical examiner had ever seen on a victim. Sasha's clothes were reportedly torn, her pants and underwear missing. Also missing were Sasha's keys, her purse, and her phone. The violence had been seemingly contained to her bed, and an important question was raised. With no signs of forced entry, how did the perpetrator get inside? Did Sasha know her assailant? Did she possibly bring someone home that night? The crime scene analysts would be brought in and discovered several clues that would help bring the case into focus, starting with that out-of-position toilet seat. They found fingerprints underneath the toilet seat lid, as well as partial shoe prints that were found in the condo. After additional medical analysis, foreign DNA was also found on Sasha's chest. Investigators requested the security footage, which would take a little time to be captured and provided to them. In the meantime, officers questioned anyone who had encountered Sasha that night. They spoke with the security guard on duty, a man named Stephen Duxbury. He told the investigators that he had interacted with Sasha and 2 other women at the entrance of the building. He said that he couldn't grant her access because she had no ID or key card on her. Sasha wound up following another resident in a few moments later. The individuals mentioned by Duxbury were located. The man that she followed told the officers that Sasha looked pretty drunk that night. The 2 women who had seen her walking along the street stated that they were concerned for her safety. They offered Sasha a ride home and escorted her back to the building, assuming that she was safe in the presence of that security guard. But another witness came forward with a baffling piece of testimony. He saw Sasha in the hallway that night, and she was being followed by none other than Stephen Duxbury. The security footage was finally ready for review, and investigators soon learned that it just wasn't matching the security guard's statement. The footage showed Sasha arriving at 1:46 a.m. on the morning of October 17th. She wandered the exterior floors and stairways of the building. It's theorized that she was having trouble finding her unit. She was also unaware that for nearly 40 minutes, Duxbury was following her, using his own key to pass through several locked access doors. 5 hours later, he was again captured on footage, carrying white garbage bags from a doorway that led to the second-floor garage where his car happened to be parked. The investigators knew something was wrong. They had found the same type of bags in Sasha's apartment, and garbage collection was not part of the security guard's responsibilities. The authorities quickly obtained a search warrant for his home and phone and discovered that Duxbury did a strange online search on his smartphone's browser at 5 a.m. the day of the murder. He had searched for how to override a digital deadbolt lock, similar to the type on Sasha's front door. If that wasn't enough, Duxbury had scrapes and a bite mark on his arm. The soles of his shoes matched those partial prints found in the apartment. The DNA was a match. Those fingerprints on the toilet seat, they were his. He agreed to take a polygraph test, and he failed. Stephen Duxbury was arrested on October 30th, 2015. Further investigation showed that Duxbury didn't have any convicted criminal history, at least in Florida, but he was the subject of numerous resident complaints from Uptown Place. A few months before Sasha's assault, another young female resident had reported that he was acting sketchy after he also followed her back to her apartment. During the trial, the prosecution presented a compelling case outlining how the suspect exploited his role as a security guard to gain Sasha's trust and access to her apartment. Stephen Duxbury was found guilty of first-degree murder and additional charges on November 21st, 2017. He received 2 life sentences without parole for Sasha's murder and an additional 15 years for burglary. The one security system that can actually help intervene and stop crime is the human security guard. Duxbury's job was to make sure that every resident in the building was safe. He was in a trusted position. But when he saw an opportunity in Sasha's vulnerable state, he exploited it. Thankfully, he will never do this again. And Sasha Samsami's tragic story will help inform other residents and hopefully landlords to be cautious of who we trust to protect us.